Yes, here I am. Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Carrington. Look at that. Going a little gold today. Gotta love the gold. Gotta fix the collar, but gotta love the gold, right? Welcome into Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Carrington at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Yes, you all know it. We all love it. I mean, you buy a company, you got to change the name, right? It's just one of those things. I don't get it. I don't know why, but nonetheless, you got to put your own mark on it, right? Right? So happy Friday again as we rock it here on the good old Pitchfork Lunch. And I'm just gonna button that up because this is driving me crazy. I don't know why, but hey, I'll go casual Friday formal, right? Anywho, but yes, I am rocking today. Hoops again, TCU this weekend for the men. A little bit of, and I know more so for the fans, but do not tell me that players that were there are not thinking of the 2-point loss last year to TCU. Obviously, touched on it all week, but a little bit yesterday. And it's going to be a hell of a matchup. I'm looking forward to it. I guess it's in Fort Worth. It's a neutral site game, but it's not really crazy that far for TCU, as we know. But the Devils and Bobby Hurley's tenure have been road warriors, guys. You know that. So I'll get to that. But yes, you can see the show live on Twitter, Facebook, and the YouTube. Pitchfork Lunchers. Do not forget, if you have missed any of the shows, which you have missed a ton of great interviews, players, coaches, voices, insiders, all that good stuff. Ton of it. Go to my YouTube. It's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005. at MVC005 on YouTube. And yes, subscribe because I mean, let's just be honest. You want to go around Sun Devil Nation, you want to enjoy Pitchfork Lunch, and it's um it's it's there's a lot there. That's what I'm looking for. There's a lot there. So at MVC005 on YouTube, subscribe. But yeah, men's hoops, like I said, taking on TCU Sunday, Territorial Cup points. The battle for the Territorial Cup overall, yes, football. It went to the Cups down in Tucson for his second year after being in Tempe for 5 straight years. I mean, which let's be honest, come on, Pitchfork Lunchers, we know that's where it belongs, in Tempe. But we have women's hoops on Sunday, so the men will play TCU on Saturday in Fort Worth. The women on Sunday have that team from down south in Desert Financial Arena. Get on out there, support the women. We want to see them beat down that team. They both have the same record. ASU coming off, again, the tough loss to Grand Canyon at home. It was their first home loss. So, again, they've protected the home court quite well, as we know. But yeah, so that is on Sunday at 5. Again, get on out there. Territorial Cup points. It's always nice to see that team from down south get beat up on by, yes, us in Sun Devil country. Gotta love that. Sorry. Gotta love that. But I was gonna say that hockey also is in Pennsylvania. They're in Pittsburgh. Taking on Robert Morris. You can hear both games on radio. Get to that in a little bit. But again, man, Coach Powers, I mean, what this team's doing. 11-3-4 overall, 10-2-2 at home. And I mean, it's been kind of a heck of a homestand. On the back half of the schedule, I'll get to it a little bit later. On the back half of the schedule, they get to go to Alaska not once but twice. And that'll be fun. So if you can make it up to Alaska, I don't know if I'll be able to, full disclosure, but hey, I mean, they're playing up, they're playing Fairbanks and they're playing Anchorage. So hey, if it and it is for me too. I want to go on one of those Alaskan cruises. Side note, bucket list to get to Alaska, but I've heard those Alaskan cruises are absolutely phenomenal. So but yeah, they're playing Fairbanks and Anchorage. And I don't think they're staying up there the whole time. I don't think they're staying up there the whole time, but again, bucket list, go up to Alaska. Believe me, if I can get up there, if I can pull it off, I'm going. Pitchfork Lunch, yeah, I know, going out on a crazy thin limb there, but yeah, congratulations to by the way, Maddie McGoffin and Marta Levinska. They are 2023 fall graduates. So congratulations to them. Again, both again, a phenomenal season for the women's volleyball team, as you know, steamrolled to the Sweet 16. By the way, we have the championship matchup will be between Nebraska and Texas, as Nebraska beat Pitt last night, and Texas beat Wisconsin. So that will be Sunday, actually on ABC. So I know the Devils aren't there, but I will definitely check it out. Sunday it'll be on ABC. And again, I get it, you're scheduling, but on a football Sunday, smack dab in the middle. But I'm definitely going to check it out. Get started at 1:00 anyway. So, but that'll be awesome. The fact that it's on ABC, absolutely awesome. But wishing obviously the Devils are there, or a Pac-12 school, or two Pac-12 schools actually would have been phenomenal. But that is Sunday. I did say I would mention bowl games today. So Saturday it gets started. By the way, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. And that Saturday is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, the Cricket Celebration Bowl. Myrtle Beach Bowl, by the way, is in South Carolina. I know a lot of you said, "Hey, thanks, Captain Obvious," but just throwing it out there. The Cricket Celebration Bowl. The Myrtle Beach Bowl is Georgia Southern versus Ohio. No, not Ohio State. Wish it was. Versus Ohio, and that's Saturday. And kickoff is at 9 a.m. local time. Actually, I'm not going to get into all the kickoffs. I'm just going to mention teams and bowls. Also, Saturday the 16th, we have the Cricket Celebration Bowl, which is Howard versus Florida A&M in Atlanta. And then, well, this is all on Saturday. The RNL Carriers New Orleans Bowl, which, yes, is in New Orleans. Jacksonville State and is taking on Louisiana. The Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl is Miami of Ohio taking on Appalachian State. That's in Orlando. And then, again, all these are this Saturday or tomorrow. Pardon me. All these are tomorrow. The Ysleta New Mexico Bowl has New Mexico State taking on Fresno State. And then the Starco Brands LA Bowl, hosted by Gronk, has the Bruins traveling up the road to take on Boise State. And yes, that is the LA Bowl. And then the the Independence Bowl. I don't get all sponsors. Yeah. Independence Bowl is in Shreveport, Louisiana, and that's Cal versus Texas Tech. Interesting matchup there. And then, that's all on Saturday. And then Monday, the 18th, we have one game, the famous Toastery Bowl, and that's Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. That's in Charlotte, North Carolina. This Tuesday, December 19th, we have the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl, which is in Frisco, Texas, and it's UTSA taking on Marshall. And then Thursday, the 21st, we have the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, which, yes, Boca Raton, y'all, in Florida. USF taking on Syracuse, and that's on Thursday. And then Friday, December 22nd, we have the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, which is in Tampa, and that's Georgia Tech versus UCF. And then December 23rd, we have the Camellia Bowl, which is in Montgomery, Alabama, Arkansas State versus Northern Illinois. And then December 23rd. Oh, all these are December 23rd now. The 76 Brigham Bowl. Birmingham. Brigham. The 76 Birmingham Bowl, which is in Birmingham, Alabama, will face Troy and Duke. And then also on the 23rd, we have the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, James Madison versus Air Force in Fort Worth, Texas. Love it. And then the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho, Georgia State taking on Utah State. And again, all these ones are on December 23rd. The 68 Ventures Bowl, South Alabama taking on Eastern Michigan. And then the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl, Utah is going to be taking on Northwestern. Nice little matchup there in Vegas. which again, phenomenal. That stadium saw a lot of points last night, by the way. The Raiders scoring 63 points on the hapless Chargers team, and Brandon Staley got fired. That's a conversation for another show. But anyway, the Las Vegas Bowl. So Utah taking on Northwestern. And then the Hawaii Bowl, the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, Coastal Carolina taking on San Jose State and Honolulu. Nothing on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but on December 26th, that's when these next bowl games are. We have the Quick Lane Bowl, Bowling Green taking on Minnesota in Detroit. And then the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl, Texas State versus Rice in Dallas. And then the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas taking on UNLV. That will be here in Phoenix. And these are all on the 26th. Now we head to the 27th. We have the Military Bowl presented by GoBowling.com, which is Virginia Tech versus Tulane in Annapolis. Very awesome. We have the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is always one of the interesting ones, kids, because you see the person getting doused in mayo at the end. Crazy how that works. So that's North Carolina versus West Virginia in Charlotte. So just, down the road, a little bit down the road for UNC. And yeah, these are all on the 27th again. And then we have the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, Louisville taking on USC in San Diego. So USC gets to travel, down the 5 to that. And then we have the Tax Act Texas Bowl, Texas A&M taking on Oklahoma State in Houston. And that wraps up the 27th. On the 28th, we have the Wasabi Fenway Bowl in Boston as SMU takes on Boston College. And then the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl in the Bronx, Yankee Stadium. Rutgers will be taking on Miami. And then these are all on the 28th. And then the Pop-Tarts Bowl, which is in Orlando, Florida. NC State will be taking on K-State. And then we get the Valero Alamo Bowl on the 28th, where Arizona is taking on Oklahoma in San Antonio. And then that wraps up the 28th. On December 29th, the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Clemson taking on Kentucky. And then the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl also on, these are all on the 29th, Oregon State taking on Notre Dame in El Paso. The tradition. I mean, look, the Sun Bowl in El Paso with the tradition that has, that's a heck of a last game for Pac-12 representation. And then also on the 29th, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Memphis is taking on Iowa State in Memphis. And then the Goodyear Cotton Bowl on as well. Missouri will be taking on Ohio State in Arlington, Texas. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl on the 30th. These are all the 30th now. Ole Miss will be taking on Penn State in Atlanta. The TransPerfect Music City Bowl, Auburn will be taking on Maryland in Nashville. And the Capital One Orange Bowl on the 30th, Georgia taking on Florida State, y'all. And a lot of guys won't be playing. If they declare for the draft, guys that might hit the transfer portal, or that have hit the transfer portal or might hit it, but guys that are declaring for the draft are not playing if it's not a college football playoff. But that's that. So that's the Orange Bowl on the 30th. And then we also have the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, Toledo and Wyoming down in Tucson. And then that wraps up the 30th. And then nothing on the 31st. January 1st, the ReliaQuest Bowl. It was Wisconsin versus LSU in Tampa. The VRBO Fiesta Bowl right here in Glendale, kids. Liberty taking on Oregon. That should be a very fun matchup. And then we have the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, where Iowa is going to take on Tennessee in Orlando. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's going to be the lowest scoring bowl game. And then the granddaddy of them all, CFP semifinal, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. As you all know, Alabama taking on Michigan at 5 Eastern time, and then at 8:45 Eastern time, the All-State Sugar Bowl. Texas taking on Washington in New Orleans. And then the College Football Playoff National Championship is on January 8th, and that is at Reliance Stadium in Houston, Texas. So at 7:30 Eastern time. So there you go. there are the bowl games, and as we get closer to the Pac-12 ones, I will, of course, highlight those, give you more of who's playing and what. But um, but yeah, so as the Pac-12 ones get closer, and yes, I mean you heard USC, UCLA, Oregon State, Oregon, Arizona, all going to bowl games. Obviously, Washington. Yeah, in the college football playoff. So that definitely that definitely again, I think the Fiesta Bowl, I love that matchup. Um I love, Liberty. You kind of had a hell of a year in the group of, the group of five, the highest ranking. That's why Liberty's playing Oregon. But again, here in the Fiesta Bowl, I'll take it. I'll take, the Ducks coming to the Valley. Their fans travel well. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see who's playing and who's not. I haven't crazy looked into that just because, look, ASU is not in a bowl game. They weren't going to be bowl eligible anyway, as we all know, right? But of course, for the conference, I'll keep up on it, hoping the last year of the Pac-12 as we know it, they can do well, and definitely want Oregon State to get a win. Well, uh, it's tough, It's Pitchfork Lunch. I can talk bad about that team down south. Don't like them, and if they do lose, I'm not going to be too sad, but it'll definitely help the conference and the overall bowl record. But the Iowa Tennessee game will be the lowest scoring game. Just so you guys know that. Anywho, all right. I'm going to step aside for a minute. And when we get back, I will dive into more of men's and women's hoops. Like I said, men, they're headed to Dallas or to Fort Worth to take on TCU. Again, neutral court site, but I mean, it's a little bit easier for TCU fans to get there. Nonetheless, I know Michelle Gardner's there. She's going to be there. So hopefully we can talk. You know what? I'm going to reach out to her and see if she'll come on, talk about the atmosphere, even though it's a regular season game. But I mean, hoops regular season games have, especially when it's, you go to a neutral court, get that kind of bigger, and not that you need it, but just the atmosphere is even bigger than normal. So yeah, hopefully Michelle can come on Monday. Don't know when she gets back, but I'll reach out and find out. Just talk about obviously what it was like. Hopefully coming off a Sun Devil victory, but we'll get to that after the break. Men's hoops and then Territorial Cup points for the women. Talking about that team down south, we need to pound them in everything. Volleyball swept them. That was beautiful to see. Not once, but twice. Well, yeah, 2 matches against them, 3-0 both times. Territorial Cup, huge points in that direction going for ASU. I mean, hockey, U of A's got a club team, but we still beat them 16-0, which, we have a Division I team. So, but that doesn't count for Territorial Cup points. Nonetheless, football, obviously points and the cup down there. But yeah, basketball, let's go. Let's take the first one, and we'll talk more about it. But yeah, the men hit up Fort Worth to take on TCU, rematch from last year's tournament. More coming up here on Pitchfork Lunch.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
All right, it is Friday. We are back here on Pitchfork Lunch. Forks up. Yes, forks up to all Pitchfork Lunchers. I am Michael Caratino at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. Yes, you know it as Twitter. And yeah, you can check out the show there. Here, obviously, on my Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005. Subscribe. You have missed a ton. Again, a lot of great interviews. The Coach of the Year, obviously the Pac-12 Coach of the Year in volleyball, JJ Van Neal. He also got the Southwest Region Coach of the Year. Was honored last night in Tampa, where the Final Four is for women's volleyball. And again, we have the championship matchup there. But again, JJ Van Neal on twice. You got to meet a ton of the volleyball team. Marta Levinsko is a first-team All-American. Mary Schroll, again, had a phenomenal season at Libero. Jelly Sear, Maddie McLaughlin, Claire Jeter, Roberta Habello. Again, all those interviews are there. Coaches, Willie Bloomquist, ASU men's head baseball coach. You missed that. And you missed that. Also, Coach Mons, who we're aiming to, him and I are working it out. Going to have him on next week on the show. Also, I know I had mentioned Coach Iguano would possibly be on today. A recruiting recruiting conflict came up, which I want him doing anyway. So rock on. So absolutely rock on. So we'll also aim to have Coach Iguano on next week too when his schedule matches up. But Coach Mons and I just trying to set something up, and I want to say so next week we will have Coach Mons on as well. Again, both of their different sides of recruiting and just all around family thing. I mean, it's awesome. So had Coach Regal on. But yeah, the assistant coaches, obviously Coach Dillingham, head coach, and we're aiming to get Coach Dillingham on too, but got to let this whole early signing, and then the 20th is the signing day. So it'll be a very busy morning. We'll have a lot of fun with that on here. And we'll we'll go through it. By the time I come on the air, we'll see who's woken up at 6 a.m. their local time and just sent their NLIs in, and they're signed and ready to go. The transfer portal guys as well. So that I've mentioned that I've committed to ASU. So that is absolutely huge. So again, stay tuned for that. But yeah, Coach Mons and Coach Iguano separately coming next week. And yeah, so subscribe to the YouTube channel again at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, Season Cat 005 on YouTube. Subscribe. All the shows are there. You want to go back and see. And I already had Coach Mons on. Coach Regal's been on, like I said. Willie Bloomquist, the alum and men's baseball, the baseball head coach. There's no women's baseball, there's softball. Again, it's Friday, right? Work with me here, Pitchfork Lunchers. Anyway, but let's talk some hoops because Bobby Hurley and the Devils are headed to Fort Worth to take on TCU, and in a rematch from last year's tournament in which they fell short 72-70, and they had a chance to win. I mean, they were up at half. TCU again made a run, and Coach Hurley's talked about that. I've played the sound for you. I mean, obviously last year in the Pac-12, but I mean recruiting. As he was recruiting, bringing this team in, but and maybe hearing rumblings and not fully knowing, but when the move to the Big 12 is made, and now you're recruiting because you're going to be playing in Texas, and it's a recruiting ground. Granted, it depends how many times, but if kids want to, stay home, but you're recruiting now to play in the Big 12. Not that, again, the Pac-12, not that it wasn't physical. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you guys understand it. You're recruiting to play in the Big 12. So having this game, this game was scheduled before the move to the Big 12 happened, but hey, it's not a bad thing. You're in the area. You could, assistant coaches, even Coach Hurley could get out to see a few recruits. And that's huge. So yeah, and a team that's 6-3 overall, again, had that tough loss on the road to the Toreros of USD, after, again, only giving up 28 first half points. Like defensively, and yes, I know what I'm about to say. You're going to say, well, in the second half, it was different. Look, USD got hot at home. ASU did lose to them, or did beat them last year here. So USD returned the favor at home, but ASU again held them to 28 first half points. Defensively, look, this team won't lack defensive intensity. You've heard me ask questions, talking to players. I mean, Frankie Collins, Jemiah Neal, even Jose Perez is talking about what Coach Hurley wants out of them defensively. And yeah, if shots aren't falling, you can control, how you play defense, get back, make those plays, and make the plays when you need to. And look, they've done it. So yeah, it was it's a tough loss. I don't, again, you only have 28 first half points and then give up 61 in the second half. And when we look at TCU so far this season, by the way, they're 7-1. They actually lost their last game, which was to number 24 Clemson. They lost 74-66, but they had won their first 7. These are who they played. Not, yeah. They had a Texas against Texas Wesleyan, but they had an exhibition, pardon me, against Texas Wesleyan, which they won, but non-exhibit when it counted. They beat Southern 108-75. They beat Omaha 82-60. They beat University of Texas RGV in Fort Worth, 88-55. Then they beat Mississippi Valley State 86-52. They beat Alcorn State 93-74. They beat Houston Christian 101-64. Georgetown, they slipped by and beat them by one in the Big East Big 12 battle in DC, 84-83. And then for their biggest challenge so far, and then 74-66 to number 24 Clemson. They lost to, and now taking on Arizona State again. It's on ESPNU tomorrow, so you'll be able to check it out. But for stat wise, and look, a lot of those teams, they're averaging 88.5 points a game. But like I said, Georgetown and Clemson, Georgetown very close. Clemson, obviously, they fell to. But leading them in scoring is Emmanuel Miller, who's averaging 15.9 points per game. And right behind him is Jacoby Coles, who's averaging 14.5 a game. And then Micah Peavy is averaging 12.1 per game. And Jameer Nelson Jr. Oh, Jameer Nelson's son. Obviously, Jameer Nelson Jr. I know. Ding, ding, ding. He's averaging 11.5 a game. And like I said, it's a team that's averaging 88.5 points a game. And while Emmanuel Miller's leading him in scoring and rebounding, 15.9 points per game, 5.6 rebounds per game, just inching ahead of Jacoby Coles, averaging 5.1 rebounds per game. So they're both first and second in rebound and scoring for the Horned Frogs. Yeah, Miller was on the team last year. He, you know what? I have a thought. Emmanuel Miller, I know. Yeah, I was gonna say that name rings a total bell um, from last season. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a team that like I said they are 7-1, and you can say that ASU's actually overall played a lot tougher competition, being a little bit more tested. So we'll see. But in last year's game, uh, against TCU in the tournament, like I said, it was 44-37 Devils at half, by the way. And then they only put up 26 points in the second half. And there was that kind of like after the under 16 timeout, as I recall, it was a lull in shooting for the Devils. Yeah, Emmanuel Miller had 8 points in that game last year. Mike Miles led them in scoring with 26. Chuck O'Bannon had 15. Damian Baugh had 11. Like I said, Emmanuel Miller had 8. Jacoby Coles, who I talked about, he had 11 off the bench for TCU. Again, who shot 8 for 23 from the 3-point line, 34.8%. They shot 35.5% from the field. This is where it gets me. They shot 35%, just over 35.5% from the field, right? 34% from three, 74% from the free throw line, right? ASU shot 48.1% from the field, 47.1 from three, and 66.7%. So like 67% from the free throw line. They only took 8 free throws all game, though. They were 6 for 8. Oh, no, they were 6 for 8 in the first half. Then they were 6 for 10 in the second half. So they were 75% in the first half, 60% in the second half. like, yeah, I mean, again, it's I'm harping on it this year too. Like that free throw shooting, you want to be flirting, you want to be flirting, high 70s, mid 70s to high 70s on the road would be of course I want to make them all. I know that, but mid 70s to high 70s on the road, pushing 80%, but 85%, 85% at home where you're, should be most comfortable. Um, but yeah, I mean, 12 for 18 for the game. And they lose by two. I mean, you hit, three more of those free throws. It's There's your victory. You're on to the next round. And then where do you go from there? So look, it was, I mean, they played in Denver. ASU, I mean, both teams but ASU had a very obviously strong contingent there in Denver. And yeah, I mean, got off to, like I said, a great start. And second half, I mean, ASU actually, if you think about it, TCU, I mean, scored 37 in the first half, 35 in the second half. ASU had 44, but the 26, and that's the tough part. They finished 23 and 13 last year, 11 and 9 in the Pac-12. But like I said, for this year, and again, like I said, there's a few guys that are still there, but um and ASU again, Frankie Collins, Jemiah Neal, Alonzo Gaffney, uh definitely know what that game felt like. So yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it tomorrow night, as it will be 7 o'clock local time here on Pitchfork Lunchers ESPNU. But yeah, I mean, look, I want to see. Look, we talk about the consistent shooting, right? Or the and coaches talked about the struggles in shooting. Um, Rebounding wise, though, I mean, again, with the injuries and being a little bit light in the front court, and they've battled. ASU's 325 total rebounds to their opponents 388. So they're averaging 36 rebounds a game to their opponents 43. So yeah, I mean, you obviously need to improve that, but you get the guys back down low. You get a Sean Phillips Jr. back. You get a Zane Meeks back in the lineup. Yes, we know Collins and Jemiah Neal can crash the boards, and they've done it. And when those two get back, not that they're going to stop doing it, so that just adds another wrinkle for Coach Hurley and this team. But I mean, Frankie Collins, again, leading the team, averaging 13.6 points per game, just ahead of Jose Perez at 13.2. And then Jemiah Neal averaging 12.1 points per game, and Alonzo Gaffney averaging 9 points per game. I mean, they're shooting just over 30% from the 3-point line, and it goes to shot selection. And you hear, Coach talked about that, especially after the BYU game, and not that shot selection was terrible. I mean, the score was tough, as we know, but how are they doing? And watching this team play, getting to get out and see this team play, to me, it's awesome because especially when Coach Hurley talks about, Jose Perez coming in late. We know he came in late. We've seen it, right? Like he came in late, and um, it takes a minute, but he's a very experienced seasoned player. So from that standpoint, but when he talks about hitting shots within the flow of the offense, again, not forcing up a bad three, or just a bad shot. Don't force it up. The ball moving, good ball movement. I know, Hoopers. I know I'm really splitting the atom for you, but no, in all honesty, good ball movement. Oh, I'm going to say 99% of the time, good ball movement, solid ball movement with a purpose, as Coach say, leads to much better shots. Guys drive in and then kick out to three. And yes, I know I talked about it in the beginning of the season. Well, when I started the show, but I mean, back in the fall, how It just annoys me when guys are like driving in, they're right there for a layup, and then they chuck it to the 3-point line. Um, for yeah, a guy is a player is his teammate is his or her teammate is open, but it just drives me absolutely crazy because um take the basket. Like take some points. If you lose by one, just think about it. You throw it out there, the three gets missed. You end up losing by one. Had you just laid it up and in, lay it up and in. Had you just laid it up and in, you have the win. So again, basketball tangent side note. But that being said, but look, I mean, look, they're battling on the boards, being undersized. Like getting Sean Phillips Jr. back when that happens will be huge. Um, and Coach, and even the same thing with Zane Meeks saying it's more so than day to day, but almost like week to week. So with and you're not going to rush them back. You want them for I know this, and I'm not saying that coach should rush them back. I'm definitely not saying that, y'all. I am saying that when they get back, and you have to make sure they don't rush themselves back either. But when they get back, they are when they get back, they're ready to go and perform. Because look, Sean Phillips Jr., I mean, is going to protect that rim, that length. I mean, imagine a full court press with Alonzo Gaffney up front and Sean Phillips Jr. at like half court, kind of ranging between, stealing passes. That is from a defensive standpoint. Again, try not to get too excited, but I will say this: that defensively, that can lead to a lot, especially in the Pac-12, especially when they get as they're charging towards conference play. Look, that team down south is the number one team in the country. Like they are really good and they are interstate. And the Final Four is here. I talked about in the beginning of the season. We had, was out at the kickoff event out front of Desert Financial. You saw it here on Pitchfork Lunch. If you didn't, you can go back again, subscribe to the YouTube and watch it. But Final Four, obviously being here in Arizona, to have a team from Arizona in it wouldn't be a bad thing. And especially if it's if it's this guy right here, if it's this guy right here, that's in the Final Four. Actually, both of them. How like as much as we despise that school down south. Side note here, real quick, before we get to the women's game against that school from down south, how awesome would it be Final Four wise on the men's side to have both Arizona and Arizona State in it? Hell, I'll take 3, even NAU. Hell, even 4. Imagine if the final. Oh, and I know I said this, and I'm not laughing because I'm laughing at. I have respect for all their programs. I'm just saying I'm laughing at the betting odds of this. If you literally went and saw what the odds were for ASU, U of A, NAU, and Grand Canyon to be in the Final Four, and that actually happens, like whoever, you can come on my show and laugh at me when it doesn't happen, but you can come on if you do it and let me know how it's going for you, because that would be an insane that would be absolutely insane. Never been done before. So anyway, but look, big matchup against TCU tomorrow on ESPNU. Like I said, as the Devils will take them on. And I want to, what did I say? It's at 7:00. 7:00 local time on ESPNU. So you'll be able to check it out. Yeah, you'll be able to check it out. And go from there. But yeah, hopefully again, we'll see what they do. We'll see what guys how they respond. That's what I mean. How you respond after a tough loss, where again, you pretty much controlled 3/4 of that game. I mean, 75% of that game against USD, and USD got by him in the end. So, but hey, it's onward to TCU. Let's go beat them down tomorrow night, ESPNU at 7 p.m. Yes, at 7 p.m. And now on the other side, on Sunday, 5 p.m., I shall be out there. I think you should too. because it's territorial cup points. We want to get loud and absolutely just beat down um, that team from down south. And they're both 7-3. I mentioned that yesterday. They're both 7-3. This is both their conference openers. And again, the Lady Devils have to bounce back from a tough loss to GCU on their home court, which was their first loss at home. So they're 5-1 on their home court. They're 0-1 away, 2-1 on a neutral site. So 7-3 overall. Love to see it. And now we have, like I said, Arizona coming up to Tempe to take on the Devils. And look, I've said this since I've been talking hoops. Like, this team will battle. This team, knock on wood, for Coach Natasha Adair, is healthier than it was last year. Ty Skinner aside, which is a bummer because she will not be back this season. But yeah, for the Devils, I mean, Jaden Simmons again is I think leading the team in minutes, right? We talked about that yesterday, and again, her and would have been so great to see her and Ty Skinner next to playing next to each other. Yeah, she's averaging 34 and a half minutes a game. Is Jaden Simmons leading the team in minutes? She started all 10 games. They played 10. She started at all 10. And she is leading the team just eyelash ahead of Jalen Brown, but 13.6 points per game, 13.1 for Brown. Triana Crisp at 12.3. So again, three players that are growing into Jaden Simmons, I mean, more so there. Obviously, her second season with Coach Adair and knowing how her game is growing. And again, you get out there Sunday and you will see it, folks. You will see it, Pitchfork Lunchers, because look, it's rivalry games are always you understand the dislike and players from all sports that I've interviewed, and even coaches throughout the years is they may have coached in a different rivalry game, but to be a part of this one. And no, I'm not being a complete homer saying it's the end all be all of rivalries, but in this state, like, Sun Devil fans, we know what we've had to you have to tolerate listening to at times. So let's just say I'll take the high road on this one. I'm on the up and up with you on what we have to listen to a lot of times, Pitchfork Lunchers. But when you talk to coaches, talk to players, like wow, and like what it means, and throughout the years, I know at football, but at a lot of practices, different sports practices, they play the fight song. They'll drown the Sun Devils and that terrible excuse for a fight song from that team down south. I've heard coaches talk about that. I've heard players talk about that. But anyway, I digress. Back to this game. Look, I mean, Simmons is going to have a game. When we look at when you look at Arizona, like I said, they are 7-3 as well. And when we look at Arizona, they, like I said, being 7-3, which is huge. They had they're recently off a national championship experience. It was an all Pac-12 final between Stanford and Arizona. Um, um, But leading them this year, pardon me, Arizona, who is averaging 71.1 points per game. Not bad. Um, They are led in scoring, sorry, by Caitlin Gilbert, who's averaging 14.3 points per game. She's also averaging just an eyelash under 5 rebounds, 4.9 rebounds a game for Caitlin Gilbert. And then Esmery Martinez is averaging 10.7 points per game. And uh, Maya Nanji is averaging 10.2 points per game. So, but leading the team in rebounds per game is Brea Cunningham. She's averaging 5.8 rebounds per game. But I mean, you look at 3 pointers. Caitlin Gilbert shooting 40% from 3 point range. Oh no, field goals. She's shooting 40% from field goals. She's shooting 44.8%. She's taking 29 on the year. She's hit 13, 44.8% from behind the arc. So taking quality threes. And I had that in the notes. That's what I was looking at. Closing out the 3 point line and making sure, again, not giving them easy hoops, but at the same time, making sure you're closing out the 3 point line as again 44.8%. She is there. And Skylar Jones, she's shooting 42.9%. She's 6 for 14 on the season is Skylar. So she's their second best 3 point shooter. But I mean, look, you got to get out there and defend it. And for Arizona, by the way, when we look at their schedule, they beat West Texas A&M 103-58. They beat Point Loma 52-44. They beat New Mexico State 68-57. Took on NAU, beat them 87-64. Loyola Marymount, they beat 70-54, and then they beat USD. Speaking of USD, 79-66. And then in the battle for Atlantis, they were down there for they played in that and they beat Memphis 90-67. They lost the number, well, it says 23-25 Ole Miss, but they lost to Ole Miss 56-47 and then beat South Dakota 61-52. They lost to UNLV 72-53. Turned around and beat UC San Diego 81-38, and then lost to Texas. Again, they're a common opponent. They did score more though than ASU. They lost to Texas 88-75 this past Wednesday. So, just on Wednesday. So that's where Arizona's at. And then they come to Tempe again Sunday 5. Do not miss it. Get on out there. Oh, again, territorial cup points. I get stoked for it in any and every sport. Yes, football and hoops definitely the atmosphere, but volleyball. Like I said, if you weren't out there for volleyball, it's great to sweep them. So, well, that is the week, man. That will do it. It is Friday, and everybody have a great weekend. Again, check out. Hockey's playing also tomorrow. Robert Morris, they are in Pittsburgh to take on Robert Morris. Lastly, before we get out of here, and they will be again tomorrow and Sunday. They're going back to back again, 11-3-4. like I said, off the top, 10-2-2 at home. That's a hell of a home ice advantage. And when you split with the number 2 team in the country and the number 9 team in the country, that number 2 was Denver. They won 6-5 in overtime, and then they lost 8-4. But then they beat Providence again, opening game 4-3 in overtime, and then lost 2-1 on that Sunday. But yeah, they're at Robert Morris which is in Pittsburgh. It'll be on Fox Sports 910 tomorrow at 5:00. So again, you can be at the game. You can be at, okay, check this out. Oh no, that's Sunday. I'm just kidding. So you can be listening to that tomorrow at 5. And then on Sunday, they take on Robert Morris at 3. It's also on Fox Sports 910 on the radio. It is on TV. It's on Sportsnet Pittsburgh. If you can somehow get that, you can watch ASU and Robert Morris Sunday at 3:00 local time. So again, you can start listening to that at 3. The women, the Territorial Cup points against Arizona at 5. Look at that. It's a great weekend. And throw in the men's game, of course, on tomorrow night against TCU at 7. So again, another phenomenal weekend around Sun Devil country. But I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all who have checked out, joined in. Greatly appreciated. Like I said, next week we're going to work out a schedule. Time to have Coach Mons on, and from the tight ends coach from football, who we had on during the season and my many years of covering him. Well, obviously covering high schools and him at Saguaro. And also we will have Coach Iguano on as well, because again, they're busy pounding the pavement, and the 20th is signing day. So we will see which day next week works for them and times. But nonetheless, we will have them on. Everybody, hey, have a phenomenal weekend, phenomenal Sparky weekend right there. Again, enjoy all the ASU sports. Again, basketball tomorrow night, hockey tomorrow and Sunday, women's hoops on Sunday. And if, on Sunday before that, you can check out the national championship volleyball matchup between Texas and Nebraska on ABC. So you can check all that out. Again, wishing our Devils were there. So wishing our Devils were there. But I'm going to get out of here. Have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you on Monday. And yes, you know it, Pitchfork Lunchers. As always, and forever, forks up.
Terry's 3. Johnny Walker matching up against control. His shot. Bruce score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2. Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her 3 right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for 3. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls on. And Arizona State wins it. Edward pulls off. And buries the puck. Takes the shot.